got to be interesting. So when you approached, so at the time of this interview we were doing right now, you obviously did it with the Kings of Thrash with like Dave Ellefson and Jeff Young. So when you approach people like that, how do they respond? I mean, because it's not every day you basically call somebody up or get a hold of a publicist and say, hey man, how would you like to get these guys in a kitchen to cook a meal, and then talk about their careers and stuff like that. It has to be because it's so different from what these guys deal with on a daily basis.
Well, and that's my end. Okay. We've done 9 episodes. I'm working on the 10th. The 10th is going to be fucking spectacular. Okay. I don't want to jinx anything here, but this dude lives on a houseboat in San Pedro, so we can't cook in his galley, but we are going to the fucking fish market when it opens and getting our food.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. So, but yeah, they all chuckle. Okay. And they're like, oh my God, that's great. And then usually it's, I can make this. I make this every time, for friends and family, or, oh my God, I'd love to do that. How'd you know I cooked? I'm like, well, I didn't. I've only had a few artists turn me down. Let's see, the funniest one was Joel Hoekstra, who I approached him at the Metal Hall of Fame. And he just looked down at me because the dude's a giant, right? So he looks down at me and he just goes, cooking? And I'm like, well, it's an interview show set in the kitchen. It's not a cooking show.
Yeah.
So I get them that way too. And they're all just super into it, dude. I'm shocked as well. But like I said, so far, maybe 3 or 4 have said no. 1, 2, yeah, 3, 4. 4 artists have turned me down. I don't want to mention any other names.
No, I get it. It because it is different.
It is, yeah.
And some of these guys, I mean, if these guys, especially if they're making a living doing this, I mean, they're used to living in parking lots and they're really not, cooking anything per se. But, there's going to be a certain, like, I would feel there's a certain, I've dealt with a lot of these guys over the last, 25 years. There's always a certain kind of persona that will embrace it, right? And I always look at it like this. I mean, if someone turns you down for it, for something like this, then it's no insult to them. It's not their thing. And honestly, you want the person that's really going to be enthusiastic to come in and do it,
Yeah.
And I think that it's so different. A lot of people that aren't into food. Maybe they're not going to be as enthusiastic, but you'd be shocked at what these guys are into, and you'd be shocked at things about them. Because I was watching the Kings of Thrash video, and it was pretty funny because like Ellefson just had like this, Dave Ellefson had a blast doing that. I mean,
yes,
he really did. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, he did. He thanked me like 5 times as he was, well, we're from Minnesota, so we do that anyway, right? You say goodbye to someone and you stand at the door for an hour before you actually leave. Mm-hmm. So we did a little bit of that. They were in a hurry. They had to get to rehearsals. But yeah, you're right. It's all about the personality, man. And you have to be a little extroverted, of course. Most musicians are, right? Mm-hmm. Though some of them are shy when they're off stage.
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure one of the guys who said no, I'm pretty sure that was the reason. They don't give hardly any interviews at all to begin with.
Yeah. Oh no, I gotcha. So you got a chef coat there with a lot of signatures. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I do. Okay. So at the end of each episode, I ask my guests to sign my jacket. And then let me show you what Sin Kieran did. Now, if you don't know him, he was in ministry for about 10, 15 years, something like that. And now he's in a band called Siglos. Siglos, right? And so we did the whole band episode. And he's like, can I draw on the back of your jacket? And I'm like, sure, man. So here's what he drew. Did you see that there?
Pull it back a little bit because the camera's kind of out of focus. He did what?
He drew Gene Simmons.
Oh, there we go. Almost. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. It just, yeah, but I get it.
And then what we're going to do is when it's full, We're going to auction it off at the Metal Hall of Fame annual gala in January. And I don't think it's in Anaheim, in January.
Mhm.
And then all of the proceeds will be donated to the charity behind the Hall of Fame,
Sure.
the DAD program, Drums and Disabilities for Drum Therapy.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Now, are you involved with the Metal Hall of Fame, or is that something that you've been a part of?
I am now. Before I just stumbled upon them in 2018, and when no one knew about it, right? It was only their second year. And so like the audience was just industry people and me, basically. It was pretty awesome, actually. And so that's how I met the CEO, Pat Gesualdo.
Mhm.
And Pat and I, because I was like the only fan there, right? He couldn't believe he was like, oh my God, thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. I love you. And so we became kind of close. And he set me up every year with VIP and access when I started writing for Heart of Hollywood. And now I'm working with Pamela Parks of Ellefson Management. She got involved last year in the Metal Hall of Fame to organize it because Pat has a huge heart and wonderful ideas, but he can't organize his way out of a wet paper bag, I don't think. And so she came in to take over, and her and I have been talking about it. And so I'm supposed to be on some planning committee, and we'll see where that goes.
Mhm.
But I hope to be. I'd love to, like I told Pam, dude, I'd sit there at the door and take your ticket. Anything to help them. It's the only Hall of Fame that matters.
Yeah, that's kind of always been my thing. I always tell everybody, every year you get these people that complain about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame didn't induct this band or that band. And I've always had, and I did a podcast on this actually, I've always had the philosophy that the Hall of Fame is really what's on your shelves, the CDs on your shelves, the artists that inspire you. And if you're going to support one, then you should support the one that actually knows our genre of music, which would be the Metal Hall of Fame, right? I mean, they're more specific to our genre of music, and I've always been somebody that has, like I said, Hall of Fames, everything's obviously subjective, but if you're going to support one and you want something that is going to really care about our genre of music and really knows our genre of music, that is the entity that you should support instead of complaining about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in Cleveland. And I've said that for probably about a year now, because I think what they are doing and what they're trying to do, I think is great. And I think it's still growing quite a bit, but I think, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know much about them, to be honest. The only time I didn't find out about them until Halloween got inducted, right? And I remember them telling me about it, and I was like, huh. And I started checking them out. And then, Rip Owens, who's from this area, got in. And, I think it's a great thing that they're growing. And I think it's going to be very, very good. And in my opinion, I think everybody that's in our scene should get behind this.
Yeah. Amen. I agree 100%. Like I said, it's the only Hall of Fame that matters. No disrespect at all to Miss Parton. Okay. But I can guarantee Dolly Parton will never be inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame.
No.
Okay. Pat is keeping it true to the genre. And it's not just artists, as you know. Okay. He's inducting venues. We have these iconic metal venues that if it wasn't for them, I never would have seen Metallica in '83, right? He's inducting promoters. He just did John and Marcia Zazula for Metal Blade Records right before, they passed, which was wonderful. We got Lee Kerslake, his platinum records for his Ozzy years.
Yeah.
He hadn't gotten those, so yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and you got to support it. If you're into metal, man, go to their website, metalhalloffame.org. You can make a donation. You can buy a t-shirt. You can vote. You can write in Jeff Young and Tony McAlpine. Those dudes need to be in there.